If you cannot have a bowel movement without taking a laxative, this video is for you. And I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you. Your laxative is not solving your constipation. It is actually causing it. I know that sounds backwards, but I'm going to break down exactly what is happening inside your gut right now. And more importantly, what you can do to fix it. I'm Kara, I'm a functional health PA, and I work with women every single day that are trapped inside this cycle. So little disclaimer here, yes, I am a physician assistant, but this video is for educational purposes only, should not be taken as medical advice whatsoever. Please consult with your healthcare professional before making any changes to your health, supplements, or medications. First, if this is you, I don't want you to feel any shame around this. I have worked with clients who have been taking laxatives daily for 5, 10, 15 years, sometimes multiple times a day. And almost every single one of them was told by a doctor, just take MiraLAX as needed. That is not a solution. That is just managing a symptom while the underlying problem actually gets worse. So what I'm going to give you today is the actual picture of what is happening and a real path to healing, because your gut actually can heal from this if you stop taking laxatives and you start supporting your digestion in a very particular way. Okay, so how does dependency on laxatives start? So first, you're constipated. Someone recommends laxativesWhy or senna. It works. Wonderful. So you feel relief at that point. And then the constipation comes back. You take it again, it works again. But over time, you start to notice that you need the laxative more and more often. Then you need it weekly. Then you need it every few days. Then you need it every day. And then you get to the point where you're actually scared to go anywhere or travel without having a laxative. This is when you've crossed into dependency. And here's the thing. You didn't do anything wrong. The laxative actually worked the way it was supposed to. The problem is no one told you what was going to happen after you start using it. So I'm going to give you a quick little picture on how your gut actually works, because this is really important. Your colon is lined with smooth muscle. It contracts in rhythmic waves called peristalsis to move the waste through. It has its own nervous system with millions of nerve cells that coordinate this movement. This is why if you've listened to anything with me in regards to gut health, I'm always talking about nervous system regulation, because this part is huge. You also have specialized cells that regulate water absorption and mucus production. So this is a fully self-regulating system. When it's functioning properly, you don't have to think about it. The problem is that chronic laxatives completely disrupt this. So what do laxatives actually do? There are two main types that I want to talk about. One is stimulant laxatives. These are things like senna, laxativesWhy, or castor oil. These are the most damaging with chronic use. They work by irritating the lining of your colon and they force it to contract. So here's the analogy I like to use. Imagine putting your arm in a cast for 6 months. When you take it off, the muscle of your arm has atrophied. It is weak. It can no longer function the way that it used to. And that's what happens to your colon with long-term use of laxatives. The muscles weaken and the nerve cells become damaged and desensitized. Your gut becomes trained, and it only responds when it has very harsh external stimulation. It loses its ability to respond to just normal, natural signals. And on top of that, chronic irritation damages the gut lining and it reduces your ability to absorb nutrients. It also disrupts the protective mucus layer you have in your gut. Second part of laxatives is osmotic laxatives. These are things like MiraLAX or milk of magnesia. Yes, they are a bit more gentle, but they are not harmless. They work by drawing water into the colon. Over time, this causes electrolyte imbalances, especially potassium and magnesium. And these are actually the electrolytes your gut needs in order to contract properly. So they actually worsen the issue over time. All right, so now we're going to get to the vicious cycle. It's called rebound constipation. You take a laxative, your gut aggressively empties, so it completely empties. Naturally, it's going to take a day or two for stool to build back up since your gut is completely empty, but you don't realize that. And then you start to panic when the next day or the next 2 days you don't go to the bathroom. So maybe you take another laxative. And meanwhile, what's happening is the muscles of your gut are getting weaker and weaker, the nerves are less responsive, and the gut lining is very inflamed. So you try to stop them, but you literally cannot go to the bathroom. The constipation is worse than it was before you even started. This is what's called the rebound constipation. Most women will then interpret this as, hey, I need another laxative. And this is actually the proof that the damage is being done. And so they take more and the cycle worsens. And at the end stage, the laxatives, they stop working altogether. So women start combining multiple types of laxatives. They start increasing the dose. They're taking it multiple times a day, and they still don't get any relief. And this is a sign of a significant colon dysfunction. Now, something to note here, this is not just a gut issue. Long term, what happens? Your electrolyte imbalances from the chronic laxative use can actually cause heart arrhythmias. It can cause muscle weakness and fatigue. Chronic dehydration affects your kidneys. Malabsorption leads to nutrient deficiencies. And one of the biggest things here is there's a really big psychological toll. So you start to have anxiety around bowel movements. You have shame, you have fear around this. And this is not a minor issue. This affects your entire body. But here is the good news. Your gut can heal. It truly can. But I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Recovery takes a very, very long time, patience, and it actually takes a very specific strategy. So let me walk you through what this looks like and what I incorporate with my clients. So first, you need to work with someone that's going to address the root cause. A conventional GI doctor may run tests, which is absolutely valuable. I am not discounting that. This needs to be done in order to rule out structural issues. But in my experience, once that's done, many of them are just going to continue to recommend laxative use for the symptom management of constipation. But that's not actually healing your gut. Second is you need to taper the laxatives. You do not want to quit them cold turkey. So going cold turkey is absolutely brutal. It rarely works. What actually works is a gradual taper. So you're going to slowly reduce the doses, you're going to space them out, and you're going to shift to more gentler types like MiraLAX. The first few weeks, still going to be very uncomfortable. Bloating, cramping, irregular movements. This is basically your gut learning how to re-function. It is temporary, so you need to stick with it. This is not the time that you just give up and add back in laxatives. Third is testing and targeted support. So this is where I do things differently. I don't just head to a supplement list. I use functional testing, so something like a GI map stool test. This is to understand what's actually going on in the gut. So do you have low stomach acid, low digestive enzymes, bacterial imbalance, inflammation? All of this is going to impact how your gut functions. Guessing about it, it doesn't fix anything. So that being said, there are some very common things that I use in this context. So magnesium, very helpful. Gut supportive nutrients like glutamine and aloe vera. Electrolytes, anti-inflammatory support. So things like zinc, carnosine, and omega-3s. But here, the form and the dose does matter, and it's on a very individual basis that I would implement this. Fourth is dietary rebuilding. Fiber, yes, is critical. But you need to go slow. And this is what a lot of people don't understand. If you go from barely any fiber to high fiber overnight, you are going to make your bloating and constipation worse. You need to start with easier forms, so more soluble fiber, so oats, cooked veggies, and bananas, and you can gradually build that up. Hydration is equally important with fiber. So you need water in order for the fiber to work. So most women are chronically underhydrated. Aim for at least 3 liters a day and support that with electrolytes so you're not depleting your minerals further. This is not sponsored whatsoever, but my favorite electrolytes are Redmond Relight electrolytes, and I also really like using bone broth. This provides hydration, electrolytes, and some protein. So fifth is movement. This is one of the most underrated pieces to help constipation. My top 3 favorite things: 10-minute walk after meals, yoga, and abdominal massage. When you eat, Your stomach is going to send a signal to your colon that it basically says, something came in, let's move it out. A 10-minute walk right after a meal amplifies that signal by getting your body moving, which helps your colon actually respond to it. So over time, what's going to happen is it's going to retrain your gut to start working on its own again, which is exactly what you need. And then certain yoga poses create gentle compression and release around the digestive organs, and also helps get you back into that parasympathetic state. Abdominal massage, that is going to physically stimulate peristalsis by mimicking the wave-like contractions that your gut should be doing. 6 is bowel retraining. So your body runs on a circadian rhythm. This is not just important for sleep. Set aside time every morning. So don't strain when you try to go to the bathroom in the morning, but you do need to give your body time to respond to the signals. And when you feel an urge, respond to it. Go to the bathroom. A lot of people have chronic constipation because they have completely ignored those signals and they wait when they feel the urge to go to the bathroom. 7 is nervous system regulation. Your gut and your brain are in constant communication through your vagus nerve. This is called the gut-brain axis. When you are chronically stressed, your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode. And in that state, the digestion and elimination are literally depolarized by your body. Constipation gets worse because your motility slows down. So healing your gut without addressing your stress response is like trying to fill a bucket with a hole in it with water. Simple daily practices like deep diaphragmatic breathing, even just 5 minutes in the morning, gentle walks, and reducing stimulant intake shifts your body into parasympathetic mode. This is the only state in which your gut can actually heal and function the way it's supposed to. And finally, one of the most important parts here, the psychological piece. This is real. It cannot be ignored. The anxiety that builds around bowel movements, the obsession, the shame, the mental load that it creates psychologically is keeping your nervous system activated and your gut in dysfunction. If this resonates, honestly, at this point, you may want to consider working with a therapist that is versed in this type of therapy. So, timeline here. What is realistic? Week 1 through 4, you're probably going to feel worse before you feel better. That's normal. Your gut is adjusting. Week 4 through 8, you're going to start to notice occasional spontaneous bowel movements. It's probably some ease of bloating as well. Months 3 through 6, you're going to have more consistent function returning, less reliance on support. Full recovery is typically 6 months to a year or more, depending on how long you've been on chronic laxatives and how bad the damage of your gut is. I know that sounds like a long time, but compared to being on laxatives for the rest of your life, it's nothing. Okay, so if you've been stuck in this cycle and you're just done managing symptoms, I want to help you actually fix it. The next step is understanding what's happening in your specific gut. That starts with the right testing and a personalized protocol. The link for a free initial consult with my team will be in the description below. And if this video helped you understand something your doctor never explained, share it with someone who needs it. This information is not making it into most conventional places, and it definitely should be. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you in the next one.